Wait, I think we're on air. Just using my finger as a swizzle stick. Hey, how's it going? So let me get everything ready while we wait for the peeps to arrive. If you're watching this back, thanks for taking a little bit of time out of your day to watch. This is just you and me now while I wait for people to come into the room. And doing a late stream for those live. Yes, Musical Aviator, an Aussie Blick Chick, and a Shelf Warmer. It's late. Colton Born, hello. Yes, I actually had an appointment with the physio. Now, did it just? Oh no, okay. I just saw on YouTube that it had stalled, but I think we're okay. Hey, Will Hart and Batman Sport. Yeah, so I had an appointment this evening, physio, because my shoulders all buggered up because I'm old, and these things happen to you when you're old. And that was like at 8 o'clock. So, but tomorrow's a public holiday, so I can go late if I want to, because I don't have to get up. Man, that tastes good. This is cranberry vodka in lemonade. Very manly drink, isn't it? It's literally vodka that had dried cranberries infused in it for a couple of days. So I picked up all the colour and flavour of the cranberries, and then filled it out, the cranberries, and they went into a smoothie. So there's like a cranberry vodka smoothie. So yeah, health food. I'm into health food. What can I say? That's a thing. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. Nice to see you all dropping in as well. No, I am not going to a dawn service. I will be there in spirit. Let's say that. Will, when am I seeing Avengers Infinity War? I don't have a ticket book. I don't have a set time when I'm going to see it. So someone's probably going to fucking spoil something on it for me before. I mean, I like Marvel movies and I prefer to see it without it being spoiled, but I'm not sort of really so immersed in Marvel movies. It'll be the end of the world if I get some details spoiled to me. Emizuto Nobara. That sounds like it means something. Good morning to you in Florida. It's good evening here, just 9 p.m. on Tuesday. So I suppose it must be Tuesday morning for you. Fuck, shit. Almost knocked my drink over. Yeah, we're just starting out. Check it out. It's like the same sad little child. Okay, look, for a laugh. Okay, anyone who's a regular who's known seen this, and it is this same sad little child who's obsessed with me, who wastes fuck knows how much time setting up YouTube channels for the sole purpose of me. So they're a bit of just I mean, about it's a have you had since we were a kid means amethyst rose. I don't think it's silly. It's quite nice. I like it. But I tell you what, sad little child, I'm going to indulge you for a moment. Why am I scared of objective truth? And I'm going to indulge you because you're going to make a fool of yourself. Because, well, I'm not scared of objective truth, but I will wage, what's the old saying? Wager a brick to London that you're going to say something that is nothing remotely approaching objective truth, that is not only deeply biased opinion, but I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say you're going to say something that is really easy to prove is an actual lie. Aussie Brick Chick, these things breed on the internet. So you want to lay some objective truth on me. I'm going to give you enough rope to hang yourself. say whatever you want. Mr. Buggy Wins, I do remember you. Yes, hello. You haven't been around for a little while. Yeah, so it's really funny the way some people are, hi, Charlie. Like when some knobhead does an attack video on me and I get all their sad little minions frothing around me. It's really weird how they don't know the meaning of the words they use, like objective, like censorship, like free speech, like hypocrisy. They have this weird, absolutely consistent pattern of using words that they clearly don't know the meaning of because they misuse them terribly. I mean, you know, online dictionaries are free. But of course, talking about dictionary definition is a cop out anyway. I'm not really using that as a thing because that's like a great way to lose a debate, to try and frame everything around a dictionary definition and ignore context. Hey, Locust Trooper, how you doing? Just here, it's like, you know, it's the eve of a public holiday in Australia. Tomorrow is Anzac Day, so I don't have work. So a slightly late start to the live stream, and I could probably go a little bit late, you know, as long as I'm not too early. Oh, Batman Sport. Wikipedia is free and sometimes worth exactly what you pay for it. But there is good information on Wikipedia. Where I think, like, because you get people who go, oh, you can't quote Wikipedia, it's not trustworthy, blah, 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 blah. If you really want to get the maximum value out of Wikipedia, rather than just reading the article, the important thing to do is to read the discussion paper, like where you see what's been edited and what's been changed and what people are arguing about, whether or not particular things are accurate. So that's where you find out what's controversial, so what things you want to look at. Okay. Sad little racist child. We're going back to, and this is absurdly easy to disprove. How do I find gang? When you're talking about criminal thing and the way the gang, what was the Apex gang was reported in the conservative media and whipped up by conservative politicians, has a very specific meaning in law enforcement. They were saying it was an organized group with a structure that acted collectively, and that is demonstrably untrue. If you want to just call a group of people a gang, you can, but the way that African gang was falsified and created by the conservative media was using a very specific meaning of the word gang, because that's scarier, that it was an organized enterprise with goals, and a bunch of stupid kids doing crimes and being fuckheads is not a gang. You want to call that, I don't care. Now, as for the absolutely false statement, Melbourne has an African gang problem. Well, you want definitions, dipshit? Define problem. What do you call a problem? Okay, because the latest crime statistic shows, and these things are fraught with peril. The latest crime statistics show the people who are obsessing over African gang problems, approximately 1% of crimes were committed by people of African descent. You are far more likely to be a victim of crime perpetrated by a white person. That's a simple, demonstrable fact. Now, you can highlight an issue within certain communities that they need to look at. Because, like I say, if 1% of crimes were committed by people of African descent, they're only 0.1% of the population here. So you can argue, well, that's disproportionate representation, isn't it? Go, yes, and that is something that the community is looking at. The idea that people are in danger from crimes by Africans, and the actual line used repeatedly by conservative politicians that Melbourne people were scared to go out at night, those are demonstrable lies. Those are absolute categorical lies. That's not a question of opinion. Those are premeditated lies. Those are racist lies. Those are lies designed to inflame and profit from racism. And you would have to be both stupid and racist to believe them. So, yeah, all you're doing is betraying both your racism and your ignorance. So, you know, there's really not much more to be said to you. I mean, can I check out my sources? They're the crime statistics which are published. There was notably a correction put out by the crime. How do I know they're lies? Because I live in fucking Melbourne, you brain dead, shit eating fuckwit. Okay? Nobody's scared to go out at night. Statistically, from a crime point of view, Melbourne's one of the safest cities in the world. Okay? It's not just lies, it's stupid, easy to prove lies. It simply isn't real, you pathetic fucking idiot. Hey Tara, how you going? I just decided to give really sad, pathetic, obsessive troll enough rope to hang himself, which I think he's done, and he's got nothing left to offer. It's, if you're that pathetic, look, I gave you the opportunity. You're just talking shit, okay? What's the affected areas? Apparently, the affected areas are Melbourne. Everyone in Melbourne is scared. People in Melbourne are too scared to go out. That is the lie that the politician put forward. That is the lie that the conservative media put forward. And they are lies. Pretty goddamn straightforward when someone's, and it's like they're not even lying a little bit. Like you could have obsessed with, oh my goodness, look at that tiny handful of crimes that the statistics show are committed by people of African descent, 1% of crime overall. It's like, but when they're only 0.1% of the population, well, that's a disproportionate representation. We should do something about that, but it's not a problem. I'll go to Google, you sad fucking loser. Seriously. And this is the thing. It was a complete waste of time. As like, they're just saying the same stupid, ridiculous talking points. I want links. I want evidence. Just fucking go to Google. Look up the crime statistics for fuck's sake. And it's just absolutely ridiculous and purely and simply racist. Shelf warmer. My kitchen has more of a problem with me than anyone else. I think all the problems thing. Davies, I just gave my thoughts on African gang problems in Melbourne. There aren't. It's a lie put forward by racists. Okay? It's pretty fucking straightforward. It's not a little lie. It's a great big lie, and the people putting it about aren't slightly racist. They're deeply racist, and They're utterly offensive, worthless garbage. Well, now you fucking know my fucking thoughts on someone saying African gang problems in Melbourne. There isn't one. Anyone who says there is a racist liar. Mr. Puggy wins. What kind of guns would a Russian armoured wagon have? That's a slightly abstract question, as in how... Your copying files can't figure out the name of cannons. What period in history are you doing, Mr. Puggy wins? Oh, Locust Trooper. The fun thing is there's no shortage of racists, so they'll always pop up. But, you know, it's like you're playing whack-a-mole. Yeah, as Musical Aviator says, whack-a-troll. You know, sadly, it doesn't actually involve a physical hammer, but metaphorically it does. World War II. It's yeah. Well, we were just talking about Wikipedia, Puggy wins. I think maybe Wikipedia is your friend, because think World War II armaments, you'll get fun, really obsessive people giving you all the intricate details of weapons. That's the thing people get really nerdy about. Oh, Tara, you got a troll telling you to stay away from daughter and female toilets. And it's like, yeah. Oh, okay. And the troll turns out to not actually have a daughter. Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones I saw during the week. Some relatively some relatively well-known right-winger that put some online comment, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, said something like, oh, you can claim to be a woman all you like and I don't care, but if you take your female penis out in front of my daughter in a toilet, you're going to have to deal with me. To which people are saying, like, he not only doesn't understand transgender people, he doesn't seem to understand women's toilets. He appears to think there are stand-up urinals in women's toilets, like not individual stalls. Ignorance is a funny thing. So you're saying trolls from the Convict Report podcast? Yeah. Oh, Aussie, were you the one who told me about the podcast who was really upset that I drink cocktails? Is that? Oh yeah, Toby. Well, it's the same troll, that same sad little boy who wastes fuck knows how much time setting up a whole bunch of YouTube channels just to try and troll me. Oh, Will Hart, what do I think about Count Dankula sentence? I have been completely open from the get-go that I think Count Dankula even being charged was fucking stupid. That progressing to prosecution was even more stupid. And a conviction was fucking ridiculous. But I also think his protests about being progressive and not being part of the alt-right neo-Nazi is a fucking lie. I think he's part of that movement whose goal is to normalize hate speech, to say vile and disgusting things, and when someone pulls them up and says, oh, you can't say that, they go, oh, it's just jokes, it's just jokes. Like, that is the actual published style menu of the neo-Nazi website, The Daily Stormer. The normies shouldn't know whether we're joking or not. So I don't think Count Dankula should have been prosecuted, simply because I don't think the video was that extreme. It was stupid, and I think he is part of that group who's trying to normalize hate speech. But I just don't think that video was particularly hate speech. I think it was stupid, and I think he is part of that movement that's trying to normalize hate speech. But I think the idea of prosecuting him cheapens scenarios where people should be prosecuted for hate speech. Yeah, I think it was really, really quite stupid that he was prosecuted and convicted. I mean, mind you, what did he end up? He ended up with an £800 fine, and they'll do a fucking GoFundMe to pay for it, and he'll raise thousands of dollars from real fuckhead right-wingers. Oh, Aussie, that podcast are the ones who got George Christensen in trouble because he went on their podcast. Oh my God. I'm so glad, because I forgot who told me about that podcast, but it was you. And it's called was it the Convict Report? The Convict Report. Okay, I'll remember that. Oh my God. Puggy Wins, apparently armored trams were a thing. Oh, I'm sure they were. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, talking about our friend Celtic King got into a bit of trouble and he's got a court hearing, but Toby, you reckon he's just going to get community service? Well, that will be good. It will be good, and I hope he learns that he should ease up the alcohol. I feel like you're looking after him, mate, Toby. Tell him to ease off the alcohol abuse a little bit. You know, I'm having a drink. There's nothing wrong with having a drink or two drink, getting a bit drunk, but getting drunk to the point where you're risking alcohol poisoning and you do really bad, stupid things that you're not in control of, that's when you've got a problem. Oh, Davies, dude, you don't know the half of. We had another acquaintance of Toby's who was a regular in the live stream until he got stupid and boring, and he was warned he was being boring and stupid, and so I blocked him. That is Video Dude. We just call him VD, and he had problems and issues, and he wrote me the weirdest letters in history. And then apparently he was stoned and picked a fight with some cops, and they frisked him, and he had dope, and they said they're going to arrest him. So he punched the cop, and now he's in jail. So I'm not saying everyone who trolls me is going to end up in jail, but we have a precedent, is what I am saying. Puggy Wins, is Bundaberg ginger beer alcoholic? I thought that was non-alcoholic. Will Hart, how's AZ going? AZ joined us on the phone last Thursday, which was fun. He's not well. He's been in hospital, and he's was it cellulitis? He's got cellulitis, which is really painful, and he's in recovery mode now. He's out of hospital, but he's in a lot of pain, and he's not very mobile. Look, hopefully we'll see him again soon. I might go over to his place at some point. He kind of lives on the other side of town to me, so it's not hugely convenient to go over to his place. But maybe I'll go over and check on his convalescing at some point. Oh, Toby, you think we might see Celtic King back next week? Learned his lesson. I hope so. Nice guy. He yeah, get the alcohol abuse under control. Like I said, a couple of drinks, good. It's you know, if you can't control it, maybe ease off completely. Davies, if you get stoned, you couldn't even get up. That's like it. Yeah. I see. I don't like ginger beer, Charlie. You're saying you like Bundaberg ginger beer as well. I don't like ginger as a I do put ginger in cooking sometimes, but ginger beer's too strong. I don't know. Batman Sport, I could try and do a live stream from AZ's, but his internet's not very good there. And so there's a reasonable chance it wouldn't work. Probably have to do a pre-recorded video with AZ. Davies, well, yeah, Reed does relax most people, and most people could do with a bit of relaxing. You are right. I think, like it's true, when will AZ and I do a podcast? I know everyone talks about podcasts. I just kind of do long videos, which are sort of podcasts, but of course, my head's not in the right space, I think, to think about doing podcasts. I mean, there are lots of terrible podcasts, and I wouldn't be as bad as some of them, but Yeah, maybe I will one day. I don't know. Hello, Jatman. How you doing? Puggy wins. Yes, I have watched Super Wog. I think Super Wog can be very funny. I mean, no one hits it 100% of the time, but I think Super Wog can be very funny. And I mean, I have met the guys behind the channel, and they seem like really nice guys. Uh, so yeah, and he's like been doing TV and stuff as well. Yes. Like a stripper, if Joe Rogan can do one, I can do one. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously I could do one. Uh, but I just go, Big Mac, what do I listen to music wise? A good guide for an Australian, at least, as to what music I listen to uh, is I like Triple J. I like alternative music. The most recent music I've bought was uh, actually, the last couple of things I've bought have been Australian. I bought Montaigne's album. I bought AB Original, uh, and I like Australian hip hop generally. Um, the most recent thing I bought was Youngblood's EP because I heard him on Triple J, and I particularly got into that song Polygraph Eyes, which I was just fascinated. I was absolutely fascinated that a young male rapper did an anti-rape song, just an anti-assault song, just saying like, "Hey guys, maybe you should stop raping drunk girls." And it's a good song on top. Well, how everyone's hating on Amy Schumer, man, she gets so much hate. I um I just watched her most recent Netflix special, which was I thought was pretty entertaining. I'm not a huge Amy Schumer fan, but I'm not an Amy Schumer hater either. She just gets, and I mean from everyone, from left and right, men and women, she gets some really, really aggressive, negative people. But I guess that's just the way it is. It's a subjective thing. Um, but yes, yeah. I guess I'm more neutral on Amy Schumer than most people are. Uh, but I mean, there's that movie she did called Trainwreck that I thought was pretty funny. I didn't see the one she did with Goldie Hawn, but it didn't look like it was going to appeal to me. Davies, you could be a comedian because your life's a joke. Well, harsh, dude. Locust Tripper, you think she tries too hard? Oh, Jatman, you think she's a joke stealer? Okay. Batman Sport. Have I ever thought about doing my own TV show? This is it, buddy. YouTube is my TV show. Um, yeah. I mean, out of context, that comment's terrifying. Good news, I found the gun. But then I remembered you were researching something. It's just for a moment, just to see that line come up in chat. Good news, I found the gun was really quite disturbing. Scott, what do I think about Barnaby Joyce? Screamed for privacy during his sex scandal, and now he's signed a book deal. Barnaby Joyce is garbage. Barnaby Joyce is just absolute garbage. And now he's going off saying, oh, why are there anti-nepotism laws? I should be able to hire my partner or family members. It's like, dude, you are such fucking garbage. He's just awful. He's a horrible person. Horrible person. Yes, Jatma the beetrooter. Oh, So Mr. Puggy Wins found a gun and Davies found some bomb-ass weed. Good on you, man. Good for you. Locust Tripper, you think the podcast should be called Coming Home with Angry and Aussie? Look, if Aidsy's health was better, I'd definitely do it. But at the moment, the idea of putting strain on him, putting pressure on him to commit to something is a bad idea, because he will push himself. He will always push himself if he feels like he has to do something for someone else. And his health is really fucking bad. And so I don't want him pushing himself on my behalf. Patman, how about Angry Nazy's election night party? Yeah, man. At least we'd be a bit more down to earth than what's that American one? Chapo Trap House, which I have to admit I've never listened to. I've only read interviews with the guys from Chapo Trap House, and I've read articles about them. Yeah, I think I'd be a bit more authentic than them. Big Mac, what do I think about Jordan Peterson? Someone always asks about Jordan Peterson. I have not read a lot of his stuff. I've read some stuff. I've watched some interviews. I honestly think he's full of shit. I think he's really shallow ideas masquerading as deep thought. Like he thinks he's a philosopher, and he's got no more depth than the average alt-right troll on the internet, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, Catherine, getting AD in a studio on a regular basis, but even like I could go over to his place, but he's just not very well. He's not very well. And but the thing is, he'd try and push himself to hurt his own health, and so I try not to do that. Davies, you like to cover yourself in baby oil and peanut butter and do the work. Sounds completely legitimate to me. Hi, Australian Crime Video Archives. Oh, that's Toby's other channel, isn't it? I thought, I remember who that was. Yeah. It's such a good name for a YouTube channel, though. Australian Crime Video Archives. Australia has such a good crime history. And I mean, not just the convict. Big Mac, I didn't say he was alt-right. I said he had as much depth as the average alt-right troll. I think he's really shallow and he's masquerading as deep philosophy. I think there's almost no depth to the stuff he says. And I think he's really rapidly becoming a parody of himself. It's just there's not much to him. That's my opinion. And it's completely legitimate for you to have a different opinion of him, but you did ask mine, and that's my opinion. Taro, well, see, you're right about the amount of pain he's in, and you think about chopping off his legs. But the good thing with Aidsy is he's had so much fun, so much pain for so long. A new thing of pain is just something else for him to deal with. So like when I fucked up my shoulder, when it was at its worst and it was really agonizing, I comforted myself with the thought like, oh, what I'm feeling in my shoulder is what Aidsy has felt in every joint in his body all day, every day for the last 20 years. So I count myself lucky. Locust Troop, why don't I troll the trolls? I just get bored with them, basically. I essentially get bored with them. It's as simple as that. And, oh, Puggy Wins, did I ever collect model military in my youth? Yeah, I had toy soldiers. I did have models. I used to love war comics. There were these British war comics called Commando comics. I was so into them. They were sort of this shape, little comics. I was so into the Commando comics things. Yes. Oh, okay, Toby. So if anyone knows about good videos for Australian crime to go in the Australian Crime Video Archives, then send them to that channel. Send them to Toby. Good-o. I was trying to think. One of my favourite periods of crime in Australia was the 1920s, the notorious razor gangs, where the two biggest crime bosses in Australia were women. Meg and Tilly. I feel compelled to look that up. It was Tilly Devine, Matilda, known as Tilly, and who was her? She had a main Kate Lee. That was her competitor. Kate Lee was her competitor, and so the two biggest crime bosses were women, but their enforcers were men who were scary as fuck. They were known as the Razor Gangs because if you're caught with a gun, that's like you like jail for a really, really long time. But they would carry straight razors, and to try and say it's not a weapon. I was going to shave later, and they were scary and notoriously, and the only one who survived that era was known as Chow Hayes. His nickname was Chow because his eyes had a slightly Asian appearance, and Chow was a racial epithet for Chinese people in Australia at that period. So his nickname was Chow. He's known as Chow Hayes, and he was the scariest motherfucker. There's a book, there's like a biography of him called Gunman, the Chow Hayes story, because he was the only one of them who survived. He died of old age. A journo found him in a boarding house. He was like, I don't know, 60, 70, 80, and he was still around. And the journo sat down with him and just interviewed him and got all these stories and basically said, if you start lying to me, I'm going to stop talking to you. I just want the real story. And me, Chow Hayes was, and all his sidekicks were scary people. Like they were continually never being convicted of anything because whenever they were charged with an offence, and I mean everybody who the police had as a witness either disappeared or suddenly said, oh no, that wasn't who I thought it was. Most notoriously, a rival crime guy decided he wanted to kill Chow Hayes because Chow Hayes was so dangerous, and he snuck on him and shot him from behind. But what he did is he shot someone who came out of Chow Hayes's house, who was wearing an overcoat and a hat that Chow Hayes was known to wear, but it was Chow's nephew, and he killed Chow's nephew. So at that point, he was marked, and that guy knew he'd fucked up real bad and left town. Didn't come back for ages. When he eventually came back, there was a band hall in the city, right in the middle of Sydney CBD, and this guy was there, and Chow and his sidekicks were there, and they saw this guy. It was the first time they'd seen him in months, and Chow walked up to him and just said, I need to talk to you. We need to go outside and talk. And the guys go, I'm going outside with you. You're going to kill me. And Chow's going, no, we just need to talk. Let's go outside. Take it outside. Let's talk. And the guy's going, no, I'm not going outside with you. And Chow's going, it's just to talk. Come outside. And the guy goes, if you want to talk, let's talk here. Say anything you want to say in front of everyone here. And Chow goes, okay, and pulls out a gun, pulls out a revolver, and goes bang, bang, bang. And the guy goes back over his chair, and everyone freaks out and screams. Chow just kicks the table out of the way and stands over the guy's body on the ground. Bang, 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 puts the other 3 bullets into him. And you know what? There were no witnesses. Like when the ambulance came, cops came, this guy's been shot. They go, okay, this was Chow Hayes' biggest enemy. Obviously, Chow Hayes did this. There were hundreds of people in this club. Someone must have seen it. And the fact that he would just pull a gun out in front of everyone and gun this guy down, nobody would testify. In hundreds of people, nobody saw what happened. In fact, the weirdest thing was Chow Hayes was only ever convicted on false evidence. A notoriously bent copper called Bumper Farrell faked the evidence against Chow Hayes because they didn't have any real, like, Chow Hayes was the worst, most violent criminal in Sydney, but they had no actual evidence on him. So this copper faked the evidence to get a conviction on Chow Hayes, which is absolutely ridiculous. But that's how these things work sometimes. And yes, Davies, I know Jerry Adams. Jerry Adams was in the IRA's leader of Sinn Féin, was or is the leader of Sinn Féin. Yes, and yes, that's all hardcore times. The Troubles. Look, my background is Scottish and Irish, and I love the Irish history. To my mind, if you want to understand the Irish state of mind, I think it's well explained by the fact that a civil war that lasted 100 years is referred to as the Troubles. That's it. Joel, hello. Yeah, Toby, if you want, find this book. It's called Gunman, the Chow Hayes story. And it's fucking fascinating because these people, like, I'm making him sound like a rollicking fun game, but these guys, Chow Hayes and his sidekicks, were fucking psychopaths. Oh yeah, latter day criminal who's quite well known in Australia was Chopper Read, and Chopper was fairly colourful and whatnot, but not that I would ever. And he's dead now, so I can say whatever I want, I guess. Not that I ever would have diminished Chopper while he was alive, because he was pretty scary. But these 1920s, 1930s gangsters in Australia, the Razor Gang, Squizzy Taylor, a few others, they were fucking full on. Davies, yes, I know Bobby Sands. Bobby Sands died on a hunger strike, didn't he? Batman's brought death to English colonialism. Yeah, that's what my Scottish and Irish side would say, most definitely. Yeah, what was interesting, the movie Chopper that had Eric Bana playing Chopper Read largely used Chopper's books as a source. And Chopper was, to put it bluntly, very self-serving. He was the hero of all his own stories. And so the Chopper movie is not completely realistic. Like, at one point, Eric Bana as Chopper is reciting one of Chopper's poems to camera. So, yeah. Mofo's fine. BYO, Greens pushing for establishment of Australian Cannabis Agency. Oh, you have to go, Toby. Okay, see you later, buddy. Hi, Mofo. Yes, look, I am a big believer that marijuana should be decriminalised for recreational use, simply because we have a whole bunch of other stuff that's way more dangerous that isn't criminalised, and there are certainly some positives to marijuana that's alcohol, for instance, doesn't have. It's not that marijuana is not dangerous, or at least not without dangers. But I don't think there's any reputable medical authority who would say anything apart from alcohol is more dangerous than marijuana. It's just culture has dictated marijuana's drugs bad, okay? Big Mac, it would be good if we didn't have chemicals in the water that turn the frogs gay. That is an important point. I mean, you look at the US states that legalized marijuana, their problems with prescription drug abuse went down. They got a new tax base from cannabis. It's not without its problems, but like I said, it's less dangerous than alcohol, basically. Oh no, speaking of alcohol, I've run out. I should have some more. It's what the diggers would have wanted. Well, it's what they would have wanted for themselves in the trenches. Davies, okay, now you've got one I don't know. Christy Kinahan. I do not know that name. You've come up with one I don't know. Now, what will I have to drink? I'm spoiled for choice. What do I have? I might have that one. I might have that one. That's a citrus vodka. I've got to get some ice first. And ice, baby. Bring my skull over here. I want some lemonade. Ugh. Okay, I had to get some lemonade. I'm back. You're right. Chemicals in the water turned Alex Jones against Trump. It was fascinating how many of the big name Trump supporters really couldn't deal with him doing a military intervention in Syria. Like, that was a bridge too far for them. That to me was really interesting to see. And put some of my citrus vodka in there. Oh, Davies, okay. Christy Kinahan was a wholesaler of drugs for Irish gangs. Fair enough. Yeah, that's the problem. The IRA did get into fairly serious criminal activity. Joel, you like bison grass vodka. See, what I make my own flavored stuff. So this is just an off-the-shelf vodka, and I steeped some citrus rind in it for a couple of days to a week. I don't remember how long I did it for. So you've got a little bit of colour. You've got a nice bitter citrus edge to it. Yes, so it's not too sweet. UDA, Davies, yes. Are they the unionists? Anyway, if I did see Bernie Sanders talking about that guaranteed job thing, it'd be an interesting concept about it. Big Mac, if weed was legal, no, definitely people be allowed to drive higher because it does impair judgment and slows reactions, whatnot. But we don't have a very good breathalyzer equivalent for marijuana at the moment. They do drug testing, roadside drug testing, along with breath testing in Australia, but it's really imprecise. Like, all it says is you smoke dope at some point, and it's not actually measuring any impairment, which is a big problem. Chapman, have I ever had Kirsch, a German cherry liqueur? Oh, and you marinate cherries in it overnight to make a proper black forest cake. Nice. No, I have not had Kirsch. I think I've heard of it, but I have not had it. So, yeah. Mofo, what do I prefer, JG or UBI? I don't know what we're talking about, JG or UBI. That's good. So, these, I've made a few citrus alcohols, and they're good in cocktails because they put a really bitter edge on them. Batman, you're heading off. Thanks for dropping by, man. Oh, okay. No, UBI's Universal Basic Income and JG's Job Guarantee. Okay. Look, I think they mean different things to different people. I did read an interesting article the other day that I wasn't completely on board with, where they were basically saying, oh, there's reasons you can't have universal basic income. And I didn't completely agree with their points, but it was an interesting read. David, you're saying the biggest drug run is in Northern Ireland, where you live. Okay. Yes. Northern Ireland is still belonging to the Brits, as it were, whereas the Republic of Ireland is the South. And I've never visited. I almost did. My last visit to England, I was all set to go over to Ireland for at least a couple of days, and it didn't come together. I've really got to do it because one of my oldest YouTube friends is from Ireland, and I really wanted to hang out with him. I still have never been to Ireland. Still, I agree. Conceptually, I am quite favourably disposed to universal basic income. But it's how it's implemented, I guess, would be the big thing. Locust Trip would advise you give me another here how to start popular YouTube account like yourself. Any tips? I'm not a popular YouTube channel, man. Look, if you want to grow on YouTube, you need, well, it really helps if you're young and beautiful, which will explain why I'm not growing at the moment. If you don't meet that, the two things, you either luck into or very shrewdly build your videos around the next big thing, whatever. Like, you know, if you could go back in time to before PewDiePie and start a gaming channel, you know, that'd be good. But if you could luck into the next big thing, but one of virtually all the growth I ever got on YouTube was from someone who had a comparatively bigger channel noticing me and giving a shout out to their viewers and saying, hey, this guy's pretty good. So that's what you should aim for. You should interact with the community. You should particularly the people who you look up to, man, make sure they know that you look up to them, interact with them. There's no guarantees in this world, but if you catch the eye of someone, and this, of course, it all comes back to, well, how would you have a successful YouTube channel? By making really, really, really good videos. Like there's, if I do a quick Google search on how much video uploaded to YouTube every minute. Okay, YouTube statistic. Okay, so YouTube says 300 hours of video is uploaded every minute, and that is approximately there's approximately 5 billion video views a day, 900 million unique visits to YouTube, 3.25 billion hours of video watched every month on YouTube. So on the one hand, you go, oh my God, 300 hours uploaded every single minute. How can I possibly compete with that? Well, on the plus side, the overwhelming amount of that is shit. So I'd say of that 300 hours, only 1 hour is good. So there's like 1 hour of good like, and I mean top quality video uploaded every minute. So that's all you're competing with. Every minute of every day, 1 hour of really good video is uploaded to YouTube. So the challenge, you've just got to be better than all of those people. That's the secret to success. Be better than everyone else. Oh, Stella, yes, when there used to be an Australian content page, I miss that so much because when YouTube got rid of the Australian content page, I lost 90% of my new viewers, 90% of my new subscribers. That fucking killed. I never adapted to that change. And that's my fault. Not adapting is my fault. Because other people have adapted and grown and done really well. So sometimes I get a bit narky at YouTube because that loss of that Australian localized content hit me really fucking hard. But you know, it's my fault for not adapting because heaps of other people did adapt and have done really well. So that's just the way it goes sometimes in this big old crazy world of ours. Like a stripper, will I get my popularity again? I have to do better. If I want to turn things around and make my channel grow again, because my channel hasn't grown in like forever, I need to do better. I feel I'm see, the problem is I have a day job that pays really well. Like YouTube could never compete with my day job. Like not even the top 1% of YouTubers would earn more than it's like the top 1% of the top 1% would earn more than I get from my day job. And the concept of being right up there is, you know, not very likely. But I'd be absolutely honest. If I want my channel to grow, I have to get better. I have to get better at self-promotion as well. I'm really bad at self-promotion. Stella, I agree with you. As a viewer, I miss the local content page. That was how I found new Australian content. It is now basically impossible to find new Australian content. It's so hard. And it used to be able to find good new Australian content all the time. And I really miss that. So, hey, like a strip of art, I've had sponsors at various points. They just didn't stick around forever. Just to poke me to saying some people do big budget things. Oh, yeah. And you're right, people like JonTron, there are lots of channels that do very big budget things. Like a couple big budget channels, like the various channels the Vlog Brothers, John and Hank Green do, like SciShow and the various educational stuff. The slow-mo guys, I like the slow-mo guys. Oh, yeah, the click on the bell thing. I fucking see. Here's another thing. The longer you have been on the site, the more the changes to the site work against you. Like because I got most of my subscribers in my first couple of years, and then YouTube changed everything, so that's virtually meaningless. None of my subscribers get notifications of my videos. It's really shit. But I mean, yeah, YouTube, to their credit, have tailored site basically ever since Google took over. They've tailored it to make it easier and more entertaining for casual visitors to the site, and made it to keep casual visitors on the site as long as possible. that has been to the detriment of a lot of independent creators, but they made the decision. Their focus was going to be on visitors to the site, and they've stuck with that. But honestly, I mean, yeah, I get angry and upset and say, I wish they'd do that. I wish they hadn't taken this away from us. I wish they hadn't done that. But they do way more for creators than they need to, like as opposed to say Facebook that does nothing for creators. Hey, AgroPixie, how are you? Oh, I'm glad you dropped by, AgroPixie, because I wanted to say something. There's this new uh, anime about an angry red fox who's into death metal. It's on Netflix now, apparently. Agretsuko! And I've seen articles about this character. It's a female red fox that's frustrated with day-to-day life in the office and screams along to death metal to cope. And it's made by Sanrio, the people who made Hello Kitty. That's called Agretsuko. And whenever I see Agretsuko, I think of AgroPixie. In a good way, not in a bad way. How do I spell Agretsuko? Kind of how I was pronouncing it. I just did a Google search for anime Red Fox Death Metal and found it straight away. But it's Agretsuko. Like I said, do a Google search for anime Red Fox Death Metal and it comes straight up. It looks funny. I haven't watched it yet. It looks funny. But yes, I think of you. I think of AgroPixie when I see Agretsuko because the red fox is little as well, you know. So not, not that you're fat. I shouldn't say anything about AgroPixie being little because she might be shorter than me, but she could easily beat me up. Locust Trooper, why have I never used Daily Motion? Because I can't focus on too many things. And there didn't ever seem to be any purpose to using Daily Motion. Like Daily Motion didn't seem to have that much traffic that it was worth bothering with that on top of YouTube. I should get on Twitch or something though. I should get on a site like that, try and do some live streaming stuff on Twitch or one of the other streaming sites. I mean, it's quite easy to do this on YouTube. Mofo's line saying anime Red Fox Death Metal in DuckDuckGo shows some horrible shit. Well, in Google, it shows exactly what I'm talking about. So take from that what you will. But yeah. You managed 1 kill on Fortnite. That's your major achievement. I still haven't played Fortnite. I don't really like those frenetic multiplayer shooters. Like, you know, one of the video games I've enjoyed playing in recent years is the Borderlands games, the various Borderlands games. And you can play those, or used to be able to play those multiplayer. And I never did the multiplayer. Same as Grand Theft Auto 5. I really enjoyed playing Grand Theft Auto 5, but I never did the online version because I didn't want all the grief of obnoxious people in the online world. I just enjoyed the game. So yeah, I'm not really taken with frenetic multiplayer online games. That's it, Mofo Sign. You have to, quote, you have to watch this adorable anime, Red Panda, totally shred death metal karaoke. That's it. Yes, that's it, Jahatma. Her life seems fucked. she's being screwed over by the office life, and she is all of us, having to deal with the horrors of working life, basically. So, yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but everyone's talking about it. So I might try and watch it soon. Sorry, I just got a super weird message that distracted me. I'll just close that so I don't have that distract. Oh my god! For some reason that messenger took ages to close. Yes, but we're all good. So yes, that's something to watch. Yeah, Agro Pixie. That I mean, as far back as fucking Halo and stuff. Uh, just those really fast paced. Pew, 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 I don't really like. So I wasn't even able to get into, like, I recently got for the PS4 Doom and the new Wolfenstein, and I couldn't really get into either of those. Whereas recently I've enjoyed GTA 5, Yakuza 0, still playing Zelda Breath of the Wild. Uh, Yakuza 6 sounds good, the new Yakuza game, and possibly Far Cry 5. And a lot of people are talking up the new God of War game as well. So maybe I'll do that. Mrs. Angry's still playing Skyrim, so maybe I'll play Skyrim as well. Oh, Stella, you love playing World of Warcraft and hated the dickheads that played. I remember, because that was one of the early online MMORPGs, massive multiplayer online role-playing games. Um, and people would dedicate 100 hours a week more into that game. And there was this really telling article, and it was like written like 10 years ago or more. Someone who spent a ridiculous number of hours in World of Warcraft, and they were a guild leader. They trained up new people, and they planned campaigns, and they planned raids, and it was destroying their life basically. Like, they've gotten up to the point of they're only getting a couple hours sleep at night because they had a job, and then they were doing like 12 hours a day on Warcraft, and they eventually made this sort of life changing decision to get out of World of Warcraft. And it was definitely the right decision for them, and their life improved and whatnot. But the big eye opener for them was a couple months after they quit, they went back in and they visited the people from their guild and said, "Hi, I just wanted to say hi. I had to leave," and da-da. And people were acting like they didn't know them, and they went, "Hey, fuck you! Like, sure, I've been away for a couple months, but I spent literally years surrendering my life to you people. How fucking dare you act like you don't know me?" And that's when he really realized leaving World of Warcraft was the right decision, because there's no value whatsoever in surrendering your life to it. Agripix, you're playing Monster Hunter, but Shadow of the Colossus is still in the plastic. Oh, Jatma, you think don't take it out of the plastic. Okay, fair enough. Oh, Puggy, you're still going after the armored wagon while we talk. I'm sure you'll find what you're after, because there's lots of people who are super into that stuff online. Real history tragics and war obsessives, people who obsess about the tiniest detail. That's what you're into. I bet you'll find resources. Oh. Yes, that was like you're saying, an adult with an actual job will get hassled. You don't spend enough time in here, and it's not good for you. Oh, and what's that weird sci-fi game, Eve Online? I've read the most amazing, weird stories about EVE Online, because it's this huge, involved game, and it's like it's a space travel one. And so you start with a little spaceship, and you build up, and you can have fleets, and you join guilds and all this shit. If your spaceship gets blown up in EVE, that's it, it's gone. You might have invested years into building up what you had, and if you come out on the wrong end of a battle, you lose your ship. It's just fucking gone. And some of the stories of some of these massive coups that happened in EVE Online are absolutely amazing. Locust Trooper, why don't I get a new mini Mac or MacBook for video editing? Ooh, I don't know, dude. Maybe I should. I'm slightly daunted at having to learn the new operating system and new software, and because I'm super fucking lazy. Yeah. Oh, mofo, you know, Eve. If you're a pilot, you die often. If you're a civilian, you die plenty and horribly. But I mean, they have like these huge factions of guilds, and they're like at this stalemate. And I read this story a while back of one of these huge factions almost got wiped out because somebody made a miscalculation in their hyperspace jump and dropped into the middle of enemy territory and were subject to a massive attack. And they sent out a distress call to, you know, their guild. And so then hundreds of their guild members came in to try and defend them. So then there was this massive space battle with thousands of ships blasting each other apart, and it almost wiped one of these guilds out. It's like, these people are so full on. It's amazing. I just can't conceive of dedicating that much of my life to a game. But then again, the vast majority of the sensible population couldn't conceive of dedicating as much of their life to YouTube as I have over the last 10 plus years. So who am I to say? But yeah, the other weird, well, I've read a couple weird stories about EVE Online. One I read, there was a bank. Someone set up a bank because you exchange things and you can buy stuff with real world money in EVE. And so transactions in EVE have a real world value. And somebody set up a bank, and they built it up over years. They got trusted by everyone, and they were the banker for this game for years. And it got to the stage where they had billions of dollars of assets, not billions, millions of dollars of assets in their online bank. And they just went, fuck yous, and pulled the plug, and they stole it all. And everyone was like, what? And there was nothing that could be done. These guys had just stolen stuff worth millions of dollars. And that was the way it went. Locust Trooper, yes, I have owned a Mac laptop in the past. And I never really warmed to it. I did do some simple video stuff in the Mac laptop, but like I said, the idea of fully committing to a completely different operating system and different software is a little bit overwhelming for me. So, Will Hart, when's Mistress M coming back? Soon, I hope. I will have to hit her up and say, when are you coming back? Because we did do that teaser that she was going to come back. And she definitely is. I will have to hit her up on Facebook and say, when are we going to move this shit forward? Because that will be super good, because she's been away for far too long. And there's a couple of ways we could bring her back into the video. So we need to decide which of those methods we'll actually use. But thanks for the reminder, Will, because I really do need to talk to Mistress M about coming back, because that would be a great thing to have her back on the Angry channel. Because I do like collaborating. I love collaborating with people. And you know, sometimes it's only a one-off or two-off, and but sometimes people like Mistress M or Eva, Viola, AZ, it's a long-term collaboration. Yeah, nothing lasts forever, like people move away and whatnot, but yeah. Locust Trooper, you think I won't regret it? Will help with editing it? Maybe. My first time, that's a really good question to get Mistress M to address the rise of VR girlfriend simulators. And not even just VR, but also, of course, the real dolls and sex robots, and what that means for the future. Just like Sarah Shatma, the Futurama episode with the Lucy Lou bot, with the public health warning: don't date robots. Yes, Tara, we might do a Google Hangout. We talked about a couple ways of doing it. We could do it by Google Hangout. Another way is we could record with a camera at each end, and we could be on the phone, like we could have an earpiece in, and we could be having our discussion on the phone, and we each record our end on video, and Mistress M sends me her video, and I edit it together. There's a couple of ways we could do it. We definitely have to do it. I thought it was really funny. Like, I agree, the Futurama episode about dating robots was hilarious. And the whole thing in that public health video of don't date robots, with the guy who's snogging his Marilyn Monroe bot and having sex with his Marilyn Monroe bot. And he's making no effort with his physical girlfriend anymore. And she's going, oh, why don't you come over to my place? My parents won't be home. We can do whatever you want. He goes, I don't know, honey. You live across the road. And that's a long way to go to make out when I've got my Marilyn Monroe bot right here. And that is the danger. But I did see a funny thing online of someone saying, like, yeah, sure, nerd, you're going to have your robot girlfriend. You won't need women. You can't even clean your bedroom. The idea of you keeping, the insertable parts of a sex robot clean, you don't have that capability. It's never going to happen. Oh, Mofo, I think VR generally has a lot of positive uses. It's just like any technology is a tool. Oh, Locust Trooper, you're a real evangelist. You're gonna send me your old MacBook Pro with Final Cut Pro installed and let me use it for a week. Wow. Okay. Yep. I love it, man. You're an evangelist for it. Yeah, see, I've used the same editing program since I've been on YouTube, which is called Video Studio. Corel own it now. They didn't own it when I first used it. They bought it a while back. Yeah, maybe. Mofo, so VR in school will be a thing. I think VR has a big future. Exactly what it becomes, who knows? I mean, because it has so many good uses. Like even in psychology, like the way it's been used to help people with phobias by giving them an immersive environment for the things they have a phobia about. It's helped people get over various things. I think, we've had, since the 90s, we've had multiple false starts with VR. Maybe this time it's for real, maybe not. Maybe this time will be another false start and it won't quite take off. But it is likely to take off eventually. Locust Trooper mail address. My post box is on all my YouTube videos. I should know it off the top of my head, and I don't really. But GPO Box 3290. That's my postal address, I think. I'll double check. Where is it? Send me hate mail. GPO. Okay, if you want to send me something, you send it to GPO Box 3290, Melbourne 3001, and that is my postal address. Where people send me all sorts of interesting things. I haven't had anything really. Maybe I should go and check, actually. Look, I think what the future holds is augmented reality. We've seen a few things like Pokemon Go was augmented reality as entertainment, and the sort of stop-start thing with like the Google glasses had augmented reality possibility. Dude, really, you're actually really sending me your MacBook Pro. Wow, thanks, man. And I will give it a thing. Mr. Pokemans, yes, I do unboxing mail videos. It's actually the last thing I unboxed is here. I got a bunch of weird shit a while ago. It's normally religious stuff because we had a running joke with various people who should send me religious stuff to try and save my soul. It hasn't worked yet. I will do an unboxing of the MacBook Pro. No, I'll use it. And I'll see how it goes because my Windows machine doesn't like 4K video. There's no two ways about it. And my video camera shoots in 4K, and I'd like to take advantage of that. So I very much appreciate it. Will Hart, what's the craziest thing I've gotten in the post box? Not much is that crazy. This last lot, where it was like 20 individual envelopes with weird shit, like just receipts from the supermarket, that was pretty weird. That was pretty weird. What have I got? I've got things people have sent me, obviously postcards. I like it when people send me things like treats, like candies from their home country. I got some interesting stuff. Someone who's a viewer worked at a tourist thing that was an ironwork, like an iron smelting thing. They sent me basically a paperweight that had been cast at their work at this ironworks. That was very unusual, and I quite liked it. I've still got my box of things people sent me. I think it's in the next room somewhere. Yes. Shatner. Sorry to change the subject, but you saw Campbell Ewan mowing his lawn on the weekend. The things you see. Campbell Newman, that guy's a fuck up. For those who don't know, he's a Conservative politician from Queensland, rode into Parliament on this huge majority, fucked everything up, and then lost an election really disastrously. Weird guy. Stella, you can send me some lead ore. Lead ore, something else maybe? What? Buggy wins. I'm glad I've given you an idea. My first one, that's a good question. Would YouTube ever run out of space and have to delete old vids because there's a lot of unviewed videos? I know YouTube has floated the idea in the past because like an enormous chunk, not a small amount, a huge chunk of what they're hosting is not only never watched by anyone, that it's not maintained by the people who uploaded it. And I know they floated at one point they could do an audit of everything and say that everything that has less than a certain number of views, whether that was 100 total or 1,000 total, but has had no views for 5 years or whatever. So basically, videos that had the total number of views were below a certain threshold, and the last time it was viewed at all was past a particular threshold, they would send a message to the channel that says, we're going to delete this unless you say not to. If you reply and say don't delete it, we won't delete it. But if they did that, they could probably safely delete about 25% of the content that exists, because it's dead. Well over half of the content on YouTube is dead. It's just not viewed and not wanted by anyone. But and tell you what, YouTube not only adds more storage all the time, but through the magic of Google, they break new ground all the time with hosting distributed videos. So people forget YouTube achieved stuff and made stuff easy that prior to YouTube was somewhere between very, very hard and impossible. Like, we just take it for granted. You can just upload a video to the YouTube and people can watch it. Prior to YouTube, it was really fucking hard to do. And now it's so easy. Will, what's my day job? I'm self-employed. I contract myself out. I work in IT. I'm a business analyst. So I'm my own boss. So if you ever see me making jokes about my boss being awful or my boss sexually harassing me, I'm my own boss. And yes, I found in the past I found it hard to avoid making silly jokes about how bad my boss is, and my boss sexually harassing me, and what my boss making me watch porn. Talking about myself. Yeah, Tara, you're right. YouTube could put the unwatched videos on a lower tier of storage, so they're served up slower. But without a doubt, I think with no doubt whatsoever, YouTube could probably clear 25% of what they're hosting, and literally nobody would notice because nobody watches it and nobody even manages it. Like, the channel that uploaded it is not used by that person anymore. So, but to the best of my knowledge, they haven't done it yet. So. Like, Strip, you don't like the add friends feature. I don't even know what that is, actually. I should know more about YouTube and Google functionality than I do, but I don't. Look, Jack, you're right. There is lots of fucked up stuff on YouTube. There was that weird stuff pitched at kids that was discovered or brought to the public attention a year or so ago. It's stuff that seems to be created algorithmically rather than by people, and it's using really low-end 3D animation with sort of recognizable characters in it. That's it, mofo. Finger family videos and similar stuff. There's a bunch of super weird shit. Yes, Shatma, Elsa, and Spider-Man fucking. There's a bunch of weird fucking shit that doesn't even seem to be created by humans on YouTube. It seems to have been created algorithmically. That's the thing. When you create something like that, it becomes too big to manage. Like, Trooper, what am I going to do on Anzac Day tomorrow? Not an enormous amount, actually. Not an enormous amount. I have to think about what I'm going to do video-wise if I'm going to make a video, because I feel like I've said everything about Anzac Day. I can say I've made a lot of videos over the years about Anzac Day and what I regard as the importance of Anzac Day. And I feel like if I revisit it, I'm just doubling up on stuff I've already done. But I'll have a bit of time tomorrow, so I can think about it. Think about if I want to do something. No, Jatma, we're not talking about ABC kids. We're talking about the kids stuff on YouTube. Puggy wins. Do I know a deaf guy named Barry Engelsman? No. Or a woman named Jerry Collins? No. My high school English teacher was called Jerry Collins. He was a man, though. No, weird. Something came up today, and people said, "Oh, can you remember the name of your first grade teacher?" And I don't know. And I went through like from kindergarten on, and I remembered the majority of my teachers. For some reason, I couldn't remember the year 4 teachers. Like kindergarten was Sister Bernadette. Year 1 and 2 was Sister Marina because it was a Catholic infant school. Year 3 was Mrs. McEwen and Miss Pooley. For some reason, I can't remember year 4. Year 5 was Miss Simpson. Year 6 was Mr. Blakemore and Miss Bourne. And then year 7, you didn't really have a homeroom teacher, but it was like Mrs. Frew in year 7. No, there's Mr. Gin, year 7, Mrs. Frew in year 8. I can't remember year 9. It was Mr. Brock in year 10. It's weird things that you remember, though. Oh, Mr. Poke, you're trying to find out if your auntie or uncle live down there. It's a big city, man. My God, you just reminded me of a friend of mine who I went to college with, who was originally from England, and I know it just came up in a conversation at a party, you know, that he was English, and completely out of the blue, because he said he was English, this girl who knew one person who was English said to him, "Do you know Rupert from Egham?" He just looked at her and it's like the dumbest fucking question you could ask. Is you knew one person in all of England, so you met one other person who was from England and asked if they knew each other, the odds against which are several million to one. She goes, do you know Rupert from Egham? And he just looked at her and went, "Yes, a tall guy with blonde hair." And she went, "No, he was kind of medium height and brown hair." And he goes, "Yes, that's who I was thinking of. Tall and blonde is his brother, Rupert, medium height, brown hair." And he said he did actually know Egham's apparently a suburb of London, and he did know it. And it's like there's like a main street through Egham, and I mean, let's just say it's called High Street. And he said, "Yeah, no, medium height, brown hair. Do you live near the High Street?" And she went, "Oh yeah, you live off the line, just off High," because like 90% of the people in Egham live on or just off this main road. And so he just said, "Do you live on the High Street?" And she goes, "He lives just near there." And she's convinced that he knows Rupert from Egham, and he let it go on for about a minute, and then he just went, "Oh, for fuck's sake, of course I don't know Rupert from Egham. What the fuck were you thinking saying that? In all of the British Isles, how the fuck am I going to know Rupert from Egham?" I am, in fact, still here, Toby. Shout myself, you got a funny story. You're in a pub next to TAFE. You and the kids are talking to some tourists your age from Perth. Turns out one of your mate's housemate's girlfriend was meeting him. That's interesting. Oh, look, I'll do an ex-girlfriend of mine who, again, is weird, England. She was English, but she'd moved around a lot. Like her dad was an engineer, he'd get jobs all around the world. So she, you know, I think she had more schools than birthdays in her life. But she said, uh, like one time, I think she was in Edinburgh Castle, and she was just looking around, and these two girls went, "Oh, is that you, Jonah?" And she went, "What?" And she went, "Oh, yes, you know, it's like Maisie and Daisy from..." And they'd been at school together for 1 year about oh 6 to 10 years earlier, and they remembered her, and they just randomly crossed paths at Edinburgh Castle. It was super weird. Mr. Puggy wins. You shouldn't stop laughing about Rupert from Egham. It was like such a weird. And okay, for me being old, talking about uni, so that story's 30 years old for me. You're right. I mean, Locust Trooper in British Girls, like Mrs. Angry is from England. So the nationality of my serious girlfriends have been English, Australian, well, Australian, but from the Philippines, South African, English. So yeah, a lot of my girlfriends over the years have been from places other than Australia. So I'm trying to think. Those are the serious ones. People have had flings with Australians, American. Yeah. So I have been. You heading off, Shahatma? Okay. Bye. You going to watch some anime, aggro pixie? Cool. Cool. What's it? 10:30. Yeah, I reckon. I stayed up. I've got to finish my drink before I go. So go a little bit longer. Oh, I think. Hey, Nutella. Aussies are good people. Oh, people are good people. I like. I told you saying Celtic Kings ex-girlfriends from Scotland. Never had a thing. And I love a Scottish accent, and I love an Irish accent. Never had a thing with a girl from Scotland or Ireland. Yeah. Ah, like sure. If you had African girlfriends, so I had a white South African girlfriend. Um, uh, of course, when we say African, it's a big country with a lot of diversity, big continent with a lot of diversity. Um, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's just people. I have to admit, I will never understand people who are completely homogenous racially. It's cool. Like these things, like if you're a white person who only ever has relationships with white people, that doesn't mean you're awful. If you're a black person who only has relationships with black people, doesn't mean you're awful. If you're Asian who only has relationships with Asian people, that doesn't mean you're awful. It's the most likely outcome, in fact. But me, well, I like a bit of diversity. So I'm just like that. Oh, look, I finished my drink. And what's that? 20 to 11. Well, I don't know about anyone else, but I am feeling a little bit like I'm ready for bed. How you all doing out there in, in video land? Um, yes, well, I'm surprised. Natalia, you like my attitude on equality. Look, I think whenever you start to talk about like equality and relationships and bloody bloody blah, you've got to be open to having a conversation. Uh, if you say someone must always be this or someone must always be that, then I think you end up in a difficult situation. And that's whether your orthodoxy could be described as left wing or right wing, progressive or conservative. If you start to say, oh, it must always be this, or there's something wrong with you, I think you get into difficult territory. I think you need to be able to have conversations about it. But that's just me, I guess. Oh, yeah, okay. From Tara, maybe pass on to Celtic King. Tara's been enjoying the live stream naked with the laptop. Okay, cool. Toby, you're right. In as much as we say diversity is good genetically and culturally, I mean, Australia got literally saved by different waves of migrants. Like um, the colony was immensely strengthened by Chinese migrants during the gold rush because they started market gardens and improved the diet of the predominantly English settlers. And post World War II, the Central European migrants, notably the Italian and Greek and people from that part of the world, again enriched the culture, the food, uh, clothing, everything. And then in the 70s and 80s, a wave of Asian migration again improved the diversity of the culture, the food, and most recently, we've had an influx of people from various African countries, which people are still up in arms about and worried about. But, everything worked out in the past. I'm really quite confident it'll work out again in the future. So, yeah. Is your Hatma, is Celtic King really in jail? Yeah, although Toby was feeling positive that after his court hearing next week, he'd be released, he'd just get community service. So we're all hoping that Celtic King doesn't actually get a custodial sentence, and that also he'll take the message that he's been bad and he needs to sort his shit out and maybe not abuse alcohol as much. So, speaking of not abusing alcohol as much, I finished my drink, so I'm going to go to bed. So you all look after yourselves. You're all fabulous people, and as always, I've greatly enjoyed my time with you. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see if I do a video tomorrow, if I dedicate my time to putting a video together tomorrow. Failing that, I might do a live stream on Thursday. There's also a place I like that does cocktail supplies that is actually doing a masterclass on making cocktails on Thursday night. I might do that. But we'll see. But I hope to see all you fine people again very soon. You're all wonderful. You're right, chat, man. We'll probably have fresh trolls on Thursday, or the same troll who weirdly and obsessively makes YouTube accounts solely to harass me. I really worry about that kid. I mean, maybe they're not a child in years. I'm just going on their apparent emotional and intellectual age. They are very much a child. And I have Mr. Puggy wins. I am looking forward to a package. Yes. uh, and you'll take care of yourselves. I hopefully will see you again soon. Until then, take care and bye now. And